After Siayusi's disfigurement, he fell from grace and endured endless humiliation. Across the entire capital, I alone was willing to marry him. To treat his face, I gathered herbs and fell from a cliff, shattering my spine. I would never walk again. Upon ascending the throne, his first act was to dethrone the empress. A flawed person, he declared, was unworthy of the empress's position. He married Farong, who had grown up with him and led the taunts against him in their youth. She forced me to drink the deadly poison. Giggling, what good did all you do for him amount to? In the end, he still only loves me. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day Farong tried to expel him from school. This time, I ignored him completely. Yet his eyes turned red, and he searched for me day and night. Lianer, won't even you look after me anymore? I summoned a palace maid. How dare you call yourself Lianer? Servants, drag this ugly monster out. My death was gruesome. Blood poured from my 7 orifices, and I was tortured to death. As I lay dying, I reached out to grasp Siayusi's robe, gasping, "Why did you do this to me? Why did you plot rebellion? Why did you slaughter my entire family? Why did you torture me to death?" Clearly, the one who had always been by his side wasn't Farong, it was me. Perhaps love is something that defies explanation. All I did for Siayusi couldn't compare to a single smile from Farong. On the day he married Farong, Siayusi asked her, "What would make you happy? Smile at me like you did when we were children." Farong casually pointed at me. "Her. I want her dead." Without hesitation, Siayusi handed me over to Farong. She tormented me for so long. So very long. That death began to feel like a gift. Siayusi took a step back, seemingly unwilling to let the blood on my body stain his snow-white robes. He didn't even spare me a glance, raising his hand to shield Farong's eyes. His voice was gentle, "Don't look. It's filthy." In my memory, he had never been so tender with me. I heard Farong giggle, "She's done so much for you. Have you truly never felt anything for her? Not even for a moment?" Siayusi shook his head and replied, "Never. If you doubt me, I can carve out my heart to prove it. From the day you came to propose marriage, my heart held only you, no room for anyone else." What a word, never. I watched their embracing figures recede into the distance. Tears and laughter mingled, reflecting on my absurd life. Truly, even in death, I cannot rest in peace. The master said that if more than half support it, he won't be allowed to come anymore. What are you still hesitating about? Do you truly wish to share a room with such a hideous creature? I opened my eyes to see the young Farong, dressed in pale pink, standing amidst the crowd. In the corner, Siayusi stood drenched, his hair obscuring half his face, looking like a madman. Had I been reborn? Before I could process it, Farong approached me, asking, "What do you think? Princess E? Surely you don't want to study with such a hideous creature either?" In my previous life, she had asked me the same question. Back then, my heart ached for Siayusi, so I snapped at her, "Why must you be so relentless? Sister Fu? Could it be that your constant clinging to Brother Xia went unrewarded, leaving you frustrated and angry?" Before his disfigurement, Siayusi was a celestial prodigy, the envy of the heavens. Every maiden in the capital yearned to marry him, Farong included. She clung to him daily, visiting the Xia household countless times to propose marriage. Though Siayusi shut his doors to her, she never relented. A young girl's love burns bright and fierce, but her hatred is equally intense. After Siayusi's disfigurement, she became the first to lead the mob in humiliating him, and I was the only one who protected him. Given a second chance at life, I refused to repeat the tale of the farmer and the snake. I deliberately ignored the burning gaze on my back, responding coldly, "As you wish." With that, I rose and walked away amidst the stunned stares of everyone present. Furong called after me, "Princess, are you truly not going to intervene?" Her concern was understandable, for I was known for my straightforward nature, detesting those who schemed behind others' backs. But all along, I had been mistaking the villain for a nobleman. Recalling the events of my past life, hatred surged within me. I sneered coldly, "I won't. What business is it of mine?" Xiaoyusi looked up in surprise, met my gaze, then lowered his head heavily. Furong was right. Without my help to treat his face, he truly was hideously ugly. My imperial brother heard about the incident at the academy and came to see me specifically. He knew I'd admired Xiaoyusi for a long time and couldn't understand why I'd abandon him now. "Liener, Minister Xia is kind, upright, and selfless. You must never emulate those petty schemers and ostracize him. Do you hear me? My foolish imperial brother. The kind and upright one is you. Xiaoyusi is nothing but a petty schemer wallowing in the gutter. In my past life, he exploited your trust to collude with rebels without restraint. In the end, you didn't even get a proper burial. I tried to comfort him, brother. I'm not excluding him. I just no longer like him." Behind me came the sharp crack of jade shattering on the floor. I turned to find Xiaoyusi standing there. How long had he been there? How much had he overheard? He seemed to have something to say. I didn't want to hear it. I bid farewell to my brother without looking back. Xiaoyusi wasn't expelled from the academy. Some still feared his status and refused to sign the papers. But he was banished to the corner. Once, he sat beside me in the front row. Now, the front row held only me. I felt no regret, for it was my suggestion to drive him away. How could such an ugly person deserve to sit beside me? Furong acted faster than anyone, flinging his books and brushes to the back. The others, eager to curry favor with me, seized his arms and dragged him to the back. Xiaoyusi offered no resistance. His snow-white robes became stained with dust. Furong tentatively asked me, "Princess, are you truly so heartless? Won't you protect him at all?" I laughed. Why should I protect him? He's not my prince consort. Furong froze, then deliberately shouted, "Could it be the princess already has someone in mind?" The matron attending beside me snapped sharply, "How dare you? The princess's marriage is not for you to discuss." "Guards! 20 lashes! Drag her away." My imperial brother sought me out once more. "Liener, I hear you found someone you favor, a potential consort?" "Yes." I casually turned a page in my book and said, "Shin Yi, son of the old General Shin. What do you think?" "Your Majesty?" "No." Without a moment's hesitation, my brother refused. "Shin Yi is merely a son of a concubine. He is unworthy of you." My dear brother, in my previous life, it was this very son of a concubine who beheaded him and fed his corpse to the wolves. He was the leader of the rebel faction. I replied slowly, "Never mind. Soon he will be worthy." Because Shin Yi would soon win a decisive victory, my brother rejoiced and rewarded him with command of troops. This was the first step in his rebellion plan. News of my interest in Shin Yi somehow reached the ears of those with ulterior motives. From that day on, my desk was always strewn with trinkets from outside the palace. I knew it was Xiaoyusi who placed them there. He had always favored using such trifles to win my favor. I tossed all these trinkets aside. Someone cried out, "Princess! Those are pastries from Chuanha Tower. People queue for days and nights just to get a box. You're throwing them away?" I smiled and said, "Do you want some?" He practically drooled. I handed him the pastries and said, "They're yours." Behind me, Xiaoyusi clenched the paper and brushed tightly. After that day, My desk remained tidy. Yet every day after class, Xiaoyusi would trail behind me. His pace neither hurried nor slow. At the corner, I turned sharply. He couldn't dodge in time and instinctively covered his face with his sleeve. The old me would have been heartbroken. But now, I only felt a sense of satisfaction. Why are you following me? Xiaoyusi slowly lifted his head. For the first time since my rebirth, I saw his face clearly. A long scar, stretching from his left eye to his right jaw. Terrifying. No wonder Furong turned her love into hatred. Lianer, why did you give away the pastries I sent you? Does my sincerity mean nothing to you? How pitifully he sounded. I sneered coldly and asked him, Xiaoyusi, do you think I'm not the least bit clever? Pastries that require days of queuing to buy, how exactly did you, the esteemed young master Xia, manage to queue every single day for your lessons? Did you use some sort of clone technique? Xiaoyusi must have sent his men to queue. That's his style, maximizing resources to achieve maximum value with minimal cost. Exposed. He stopped pretending. His eyes reddened as he looked at me. His expression earnest. Lianer, won't even you stand by me? He sounded so pitiful. So pitiful. Like a puppy abandoned by its master. But I knew full well Xiaoyusi was never some puppy, he was a heartless, ravenous wolf. I refused to engage with him further. Lost my temper. And summoned a palace maid. Lianer, you dare call yourself that? Attendants! Drag this ugly monster out. Without my protection, Xiaoyusi's situation grew increasingly dire. When I went to the academy, I saw Furong leading several others, punching and kicking him. Ugly monster. You dare show your face. You're an eyesore. Being ugly isn't your fault. But coming out to scare people is your mistake. Disgusting. Every time I see you, I'll beat you. Hitting you would dirty our hands. Xiaoyusi didn't struggle. Instead, he curled up in the corner. His pitiful gaze fixed on my direction. In my past life, it was his eyes that deceived me. Each time he faced humiliation, I stepped forward to shield him. Because of him, I punished countless wealthy princes and offended many ministers. In the end, he led a rebellion, leaving me utterly isolated. No one would help me, all doors were shut. Some even mocked me, wasn't the princess mighty back then? Why didn't she foresee saving a thankless dog like this? And I was speechless. Looking back now, it all feels absurd. Though Xiaoyusi wasn't a military commander, he had trained in martial arts. Defending against their haphazard, flashy but ineffective attacks would have been effortless. What a hypocrite. This entire charade was staged for my benefit. I had no patience for Xiaoyusi's performance and strode away. During class, the tutor called on students for recitation. Xiaoyusi and Furong were selected. Furong stammered, unable to utter a single word. Xiaoyusi lowered his head, his voice calm and measured as it flowed out, not a trace of the humiliation she'd claimed. The master praised him lavishly. Furong, seething, retorted, Master, you're biased. Why favor this ugly monster? Judging by looks? Stand outside as punishment. Furong stormed off, passing Xiaoyusi and threatening, just you wait. After class, he was again surrounded by a crowd demanding he write their assignments. Think you're so capable? Write all our homework. Let's see how capable you really are. Write. Why aren't you writing now? Aren't you the one who can write so well? Some even pried open Xiaoyusi's mouth to stuff paper balls inside. The physical pain made tears well up as he whimpered for mercy. I walked slowly toward him, stopping at his feet. A flicker of hope passed through Xiaoyusi's eyes, and I would crush that hope with my own hands, just as he once did to me. I smiled faintly and tossed my own books onto the ground. Right at his feet, Xiaoyusi lifted his head, staring at me in shock. Princess. What does this mean? Don't you understand? I chuckled, since Brother Xia is so talented and has nothing better to do. Why not help this princess with her homework? After all, unlike you, I can't just shut myself indoors, afraid to face anyone. I'm far too busy. I still need to go out and enjoy myself. Once I started, they all went wild. They threw books at Xiaoyusi's face and body, and someone even splashed ink on his face, making it look even more terrifying. But he just stared at me steadily. Not even when ink dripped into his eyes did he blink. And I, under his gaze, walked farther and farther away. Lotus blooms beneath my feet. Pure exhilaration. I'll see just how long he can endure this charade. I didn't deceive Xiaoyusi. I truly was going out. But I finished my homework. After all, I never meant to truly torment him only to make him understand. Don't pin your hopes on me. I am no longer who I once was. Never will be. That's right. I know it well. Xiaoyusi has returned too. The last time he came to see me, I saw right through him. You're back too, aren't you? His expression was flustered. He sighed, and when he lifted his eyes again, it was the Xiaoyusi I knew. Looking down on the world, holding no one in high regard, except for his Fu sister. Truly, someone who once ruled as emperor. One glance, and his aura was worlds apart from that of the perpetually bullied little victim. The Empress knows? He called me Empress. How laughable. What Empress? Wasn't it he who personally stripped me of my title? After he seized the throne through rebellion, I held the title of Empress for a single day before he deposed me. And now, he has the nerve to call me Empress. I felt sickened, turning away from his face with disgust. Xiaoyusi, I demanded. After all this acting, what exactly are you trying to achieve? A flicker of pain crossed Xiaoyusi's face. If I said I never acted, would the Empress believe me? What? I couldn't make sense of his words. He suddenly closed in on me, reaching for my hand. Lianer, he whispered. I regret it. I was wrong. I failed to understand my own heart. Lianer, even heaven feels pity and grants us another chance. This time, I want nothing else. I only wish to win one heart. To grow old together without parting. Is that acceptable? Acceptable my ass. I still remember my past life. I knelt every 3 steps, chose an auspicious day, and sought a protective charm for him in the rain. I caught a cold and ran a fever for half a month. But Xiaoyusi didn't even glance at my charm before being called away by Furong's maid. They said someone was trying to force her into being a concubine and begged Xiaoyusi to save her. He abandoned me in my sickness, leaving only these words, my fate is mine to decide. Not heaven's. Such a man, telling me to trust in the heavens. It's laughable. Knowing him as I do, he must have only realized after my death that Furong wasn't the Furong he remembered. His moonlight shattered amidst the chaos of daily life. Only then did he finally recall this insignificant speck of mosquito blood, me. Oh no. Now I suppose I'm his birthmark. I'm different from him. Karma? I believe in it. I believe in the cycle of cause and effect. Xiaoyusi's suffering has only just begun. Shin Yi has returned. He won the battle. His imperial brother wished to bestow rewards upon him. He declined all gifts, stating that serving the nation in battle was the duty of every man. This tactic of retreating to advance, it charmed his imperial brother into great delight, granting him the tiger token and bestowing an army upon him. I received the news while attending a poetry gathering. Furong had prepared extensively for this event. She was certainly talented, though not as gifted as I. But this time, I had no heart to compete with her, for my goal was never to win the top prize. Just as I remembered, Shani sat among the guests, his sycophant beside him, who sneered. Our capital's women only know how to dabble in poetry and prose. How could they compare to the charm of the desert's maidens? Someone curiously asked. General Shin, what are the desert women like? Shani smiled faintly and replied. They ride horses, shoot arrows, wield spears and swords, women who rival men. Oh, even so. They wouldn't be a match for General Shin. Shani laughed as they fawned over him, but I could clearly see his smile didn't reach his eyes. In his heart, these people were likely nothing but fools. With that, no one paid any attention to the winner of the lotus flower competition. Furong wanted to retort, but she feared Xinyi's status. She could only bite her lips silently and endure it. In my past life, I was the one mocked. I didn't swallow my anger, I fought back. Immediately, someone branded me disloyal and disrespectful. They said the princess was unruly and capricious, showing disrespect to the victorious war hero. I stormed out in anger, leaving Xinyi with a terrible impression. This time around, I sat quietly by, biding my time. The moment came swiftly. Fu Rong was no pushover. She dared not defy Xinyi, yet she looked down on the maid he had brought. With a feigned smile, she said, This humble maiden knows little of such matters and has never seen a woman from the great desert. Might I ask if the Lady General Shin has brought possesses the talents of the great desert? Xinyi beckoned with a flick of his finger, and the young woman stepped forward. Do not underestimate her status. She presented herself as Xinyi's favored concubine, but in truth, she was his shadow guard. In the previous life, had she not stood in front of him, Xinyi would have perished under his imperial brother's sword long ago. Miss Fu, my people do not perform for just anyone. Then let us compare. Oh. Xinyi's eyes sparkled with amusement. His interest piqued. Fu Rong suddenly turned toward me and performed a graceful curtsy. I've long heard of the princess's mastery of horsemanship. Might the princess dare represent our great capital in a contest? To compete against the desert maiden? What a clever two-for-one move. My attendant maid deliberately retorted, Miss Fu, do you presume to command the princess? Furong smirked triumphantly, deliberately raising her voice. Is the princess afraid? Furong. To my surprise, the one who stepped forward to stop her was Xiaoyusi. How dare you be so insolent? Furong was no longer the little girl who used to trail after him. Turning back, she sneered. I'm speaking to the princess. What business is it of yours? You ugly brute. You. Enough. Thank you both for your cooperation. The setup has been thorough enough. More than enough to draw Xinyi and the others' attention. It was then that I rose, meeting Xinyi's probing gaze with a smile. If General Shin loses, I asked. What then? Xinyi shook his head confidently. He won't. But anything can happen. Are you that sure, General Shin? A flicker of something else crossed his eyes as he asked. And what would the princess suggest? If General Shin's attendant loses, he must grant me one request. Agreed. He replied readily. His smile dimmed slightly as he pressed. And if the princess loses? I answered just as bluntly. Whatever the general sees fit. Xiaoyusi stopped me, saying, Have you lost your mind? You should know Rian's true identity. With your half-baked skills, how could you possibly defeat her? I pushed his hand away, saying, What business is it of yours? Lianer, I know you're sulking at me, but Xinyi is different from me. He's not someone you can provoke casually. Is that so? How is he different? I halted. My eyes locked on his. Is it that he won't let his beloved woman strike me? Or that he won't let his beloved woman throw me into a dog cage? Or that he won't let his beloved woman force me to drink poison? Or... Enough! Xiaoyusi's eyes bulged. His voice choked with anguish. Stop it. Lianer. Do you resent me this much? Yes. I resent you to the core. I wish you'd just die right now. I swung onto my horse and challenged Rian to a contest. I knew she excelled at archery. Sure enough, the moment I mounted, she proposed a contest of arrows. Perfect. On this very day in my past life, I was defeated. Unwilling to accept defeat, I sought out the most skilled archer among the secret guards to teach me. Yet after that, I never again had the chance to compete with Rian. These past days, I've done nothing else but come to the riding grounds daily to practice my archery. It can be said, the Rian of today was absolutely no match for me. Rian tossed me a bow and arrows. I caught them steadily. She paused, a flicker of admiration crossing her eyes. I thought all women from the great capital were useless, incapable of even holding a bow. I smiled, watching her draw and shoot. 3 arrows whistled through the air, each striking the bullseye. Princess, please show me. I nodded, recalling my master's guidance, drew the bow, and released 3 arrows. The entire field fell silent. Then someone shouted, "Impossible. This can't be." What happened? Shin-Yi went to look. He discovered my 3 arrows had all pierced the same hole. He froze, then led the applause. The princess has won. Honor the wager. Princess, what would you like Shin to do? Seated high atop my horse, I looked down upon him. I drew an arrow, lightly touching his chin with its tip. Lifting his face, I spoke slowly. Shin-Yi, I demand you apologize to the women of the great capital. Crack. The sound of Xia Yusi crushing a cup. Furong gasped, pointing at his hand. Blood. You're bleeding. Xia Yusi seemed oblivious, his gaze fixed intently on us. Someone stepped in to smooth things over. It's nothing to do with General Shin. We were just talking nonsense. We were just talking nonsense. Yes, Princess. It's our fault. It has nothing to do with General Shin. I didn't look at anyone, only fixed my gaze on Shin-Yi. Xia Yusi, not far away, was already on guard. If Shin-Yi dared to do anything to me, he would certainly intervene. Shin-Yi paused, then burst into laughter. Apologize for what? You know exactly what. He suddenly swung himself onto his horse, lifting me off mine. Fine. I apologize. I spoke out of turn. I was wrong. I broke free and said, General Shin, take my advice, never underestimate a woman skilled in the arts of writing and poetry. For who knows? You might just meet your end by the arrow of such a woman. Shin-Yi nodded, his gaze lingering on me with hidden meaning. I met his eyes directly. Without flinching, he smiled and said, I've long heard of the princess's extraordinary presence. Seeing you today truly makes Shin look at you with new respect. I nodded, left him behind, and walked away. 2 pairs of eyes followed my retreating figure. My palms were already sweaty. I knew. This time, I had won the gamble. The events of that poetry gathering soon spread throughout the entire city. The common folk praised the princess for her boldness, saying she brought honor to the women of the capital. My royal brother was overjoyed and asked what reward I desired. In the grand hall, I knelt and said, Your Majesty, Leonor only asks to marry the one she loves. I beg your grace to grant this wish. Xia Yusi, standing behind me, nearly lost his balance. He whispered softly, Leonor, stop this nonsense. I didn't even turn my head. His Majesty, in high spirits, inquired, Leonor, have you found someone special? I nodded, turning my head slightly to meet Shin-Yi's carefree smile. Yes. Who is it? Care to share? His Majesty knew full well what he was asking. But I remained silent. Playing hard to get, that was my next move. I hadn't miscalculated. Right after morning court, Rian came to find me. Tonight is the Lantern Festival. My general insists the princess must attend. He awaits you. I slowly arranged flowers, asking, why should I go? Rian hadn't expected my refusal. Her patience snapped, and she threatened. Princess, if you refuse to go, Rian has 100 ways to make you attend. Do you believe me? I smiled, lifting my eyes to meet hers. So soon? Already forgotten the taste of defeat at my hands? A defeated opponent. Frustrated, she raised her hand to strike me. A gust of wind swept past. Shani had flown over using his lightness skills, blocking her blow. General. A slap landed squarely on her face, sending Rian kneeling in fright. How dare you? Shinyi's smile vanished as he scolded her. Lifting his eyes, he smiled at me and said, Princess, care to join Shin in admiring the lanterns? No. Has the princess made plans with someone else? No. Then Shin will come to fetch the princess. Without waiting for my reply, he dragged the kneeling Rian away, vanishing like a wisp of smoke. Princess. The palace maid looked at me with concern. I patted her head and offered a reassuring smile. Before I left, I saw Xiaoyusi and Furong again. For some reason, they had started arguing. Xiaoyusi actually raised his arm and slapped her. Furong fell to the ground from the blow, stunned, not daring to utter a word. The palace maid later told me Furong had recently fixated on Shani, seeking him out daily to learn archery. Only then did I understand. In my past life, Furong hadn't truly loved Xiaoyusi. She only loved the man I loved. But her calculations were flawed. I never loved Xiaoyusi. Nor would I ever love Shani. When Shani came to fetch me, he happened to run into Xiaoyusi, who was also seeking me out. Xiaoyusi blocked my path and asked, Lianer, are you truly going with him? Before I could answer, Shani wrapped his arm around my waist and said, Princess, hold on tight. He swept me onto his horse and galloped away. I turned to see Xiaoyusi standing there, utterly dejected. Good. At least for now. He probably won't be dragging Shani into rebellion anymore. Or rather, he probably can't drag him anymore. Shani dislikes lantern festivals. Nor does he care for guessing riddles. We went to a tavern to drink instead. By chance, we saw someone tossing a silk ball. The silk ball landed on him. He paused, then flashed a charming smile, turning to look at me. My face remained cold. What are you looking at? It wasn't me who caught it. Jealous? I ignored him. Shani didn't go upstairs. Instead, he tossed the silk ball back, saying, This humble scholar is already married. I'm afraid I cannot accept. He wrapped his arm around my waist. My dear, isn't that right? I sneered. You want to be the imperial son-in-law? And does the princess want me to be? What do you think? He leaned close to my ear and murmured slowly. This morning, I went to the emperor to ask for the princess's hand in marriage. Guess what His Majesty said? I furrowed my brow. What did he say? He told me the princess's true love was none other than this general. Princess, when did you begin to love me? When did it begin? Probably the moment he first plotted rebellion. I knew long ago that Shani intended to rebel. It wasn't that he disliked my imperial brother. He despised the entire capital. He loathed the rigid moral codes and rituals. As a son of a concubine, he never knew a day of ease in his life. In my past life, he was the one who sought out Xiaoyusi first. Xiaoyusi's heart stirred because he wanted to prove himself to Furong. Working together, they led troops to storm the palace. This life, I severed their connection first. But without Xiaoyusi, who else would Shini turn to? Xiaoyusi remained kneeling before my brother's palace gates, begging him to revoke the decree. My brother had already issued the edict. Shini would become the prince consort. The day he would marry me. The 7th day of the coming month. The 7th day of the coming month. An auspicious day. It was also the day in my past life when I lost the ability to walk forever. I found Xiaoyusi. I couldn't believe that I alone could sever his ties with Shini completely. I needed a stronger bargaining chip. Like making him disappear. Lianer, you've finally agreed to see me. I nodded. Xiaoyusi. I'll be blunt. What? You want to marry me, don't you? A flicker of surprise, gratitude, and disbelief crossed Xiaoyusi's eyes. Lianer, are you finally giving me another chance? I'm not giving you a chance. You're giving it to yourself. Xiaoyusi didn't understand. I pointed at his face, mimicking his tone from my past life, and asked, do you think a crippled man deserves the position of imperial son-in-law? After a long moment, he nodded. Lianer, I understand. Wait for me to return. I watched his retreating figure. A wave of satisfaction washed over me. In my past life, I had merely broken my back. But this time, I had arranged my secret guards in advance. Xiaoyusi would not return alive. One down. Still one to go. Staring at the crimson wedding robes, I contemplated the possibility of ending his life myself. The possibility was almost zero. Before the wedding, Furong gave me a surprise. She climbed into Xinyi's bed. She was one step away from being killed on the spot. Xiaoyusi saved her. True feelings are revealed in times of hardship. Furong threw herself into Xiaoyusi's arms, crying uncontrollably. Xiaoyusi soothed her gently, saying, don't cry. Don't be afraid. Furu. I'm here. Furong lifted her tear-filled eyes. Xiaoyusi. I've been so cruel to you. Why would you still help me? Because I like you. From the moment you came to my home to propose, you've been the only one in my heart. Not long after, Furong left with Xiaoyusi. She said she'd found the herbs to heal Xiaoyusi's face. She also said that when she returned, they would marry. Xiaoyusi. Oh Xiaoyusi. He truly is himself, using the least resources to achieve the greatest value. Before parting, he came to see me, Lianer. When I return, you will be my queen. I know. He and Shini have joined forces after all. Otherwise, how would he have appeared in Xinyi's command tent? But this time, who sought whom first? The moment Xiaoyusi left, Xinyi came to me. Princess. Someone has asked me to join him in rebellion. I hadn't expected him to lay his cards on the table so suddenly. I nearly dropped my teacup, scalding my hand with hot tea. His expression flashed with alarm. He lifted my hand, kissed the moisture from my fingers, then looked up at me with a smile. Princess. You don't seem surprised? Attempting rebellion is a capital offense. Indeed. He nuzzled my neck, his warm breath tickling my skin as he whispered. Or perhaps, Princess, you could arrest me? I sighed. What would it take for you not to do this? He pinched my chin firmly. I want the princess's true heart. Xinyi confined me under house arrest. He ordered Rian to watch me daily. I told Rian, do you believe I could have you killed? Rian snorted coldly. You dream. It was actually quite simple. I poured boiling water over myself. My body instantly turned crimson, blistered, and I broke out in a cold sweat from the pain. Looking utterly horrifying. Rian froze. Have you lost your mind? I wasn't mad. Xinyi rushed in upon hearing the commotion. He slapped Rian across the face, shouting, "How dare you! How dare you! My lord! It wasn't me! She did it herself! She did it herself!" Shenyi wouldn't listen to a single word. I thought he must have remembered the day his mother died. His mother was a favored concubine, tortured to death by the legitimate wife, scalded alive with boiling water. Just as he was about to choke Rian to death, I threw myself forward, shouting his name. He snapped back to his senses, turned, and clung to me like a child. "Mother, mother, mother. I'm grown now. I can protect you. Mother, don't leave. Mother." I soothed him, promising I wouldn't leave. All the while, I watched Rian's pale face, her eyes asking, "Do you believe me now?" Love is the most fragile thing when it comes to suspicion, especially when it's a one-sided affair. Over the next half-month, I pulled every trick in the book to gradually win Rian's trust. I truly had the power to make Shenyi kill her. Her once bright eyes grew dull and lifeless, devoid of spirit, just like mine back then. I crouched down and asked her, "Rian, do you want to live for yourself? Just once?" On the day of my grand wedding, Xia Yusi returned. With him came Furong, her spine shattered, doomed to walk no more. Furong's face was ashen. My imperial brother immediately bestowed a marriage upon them. Yet Xia Yusi only sneered coldly, brandishing the imperial token, intent on forcing a coup. "Minister Xia, what do you mean by this?" Xia Yusi looked at my brother like he was observing an insect. "Nothing much. Just want my empress to take her rightful place." The army charged in. The imperial guards couldn't hold them back. Shenyi stared at me with burning eyes and laughed. "Princess, if you beg me, I'll let him die with his body intact." "You dream. I told you. Men like them, devoid of hearts, could never truly give their sincerity to others. One who fell in love with the very person who tormented her. One who never received love from childhood. Neither of them was normal. Only a fool would think of healing them. A sane person would run as far away as possible." My brother shielded me behind him, drew his sword, and thrust it toward Shenyi. He showed no defense, seemingly certain Rian would block the blade for him. But Rian stood like a piece of wood, utterly motionless. Shenyi cursed inwardly. He yanked Rian away, forcing her to bear the full force of the sword. "Rian!" I screamed, my voice tearing at my heart. Rian spat blood and spun around, stabbing Shenyi through the heart while he was off guard. "You!" Shenyi's face twisted in disbelief. "Go to hell!" The moment's supreme love turned to hatred. No one could undo it. Shenyi collapsed to the ground. Rian also fell, looking in my direction and saying, "Princess, I did it. Yes. To live for oneself." She had done it. Xia Yusi gave a cold laugh. "Perfect. One less nuisance. I won't need to lift a finger." He walked slowly toward me, extending his hand. "Empress, come to me." I stared at Xia Yusi's face. He'd finally stopped pretending to be a saint. Tears welled in my eyes. "Xia Yusi, at this point, do you truly believe you'll succeed this time? Empress?" He was still bewildered when Furong, seated in her wheelchair, suddenly stood up and stabbed him in the back. You're not." How could Xia Yusi have known? I had arranged secret guards in advance to save Furong. Facing life and death, she shed her infatuation in an instant. Alas, Xia Yusi was no ordinary man. He counterattacked with lightning speed. Furong was a step slower and fell to the ground. No breath left in her. I stepped forward coldly, watching Xia Yusi kneel on one knee. I asked, "Xia Yusi, do you feel the agony of being slain by the one you once loved? This was my final gift to him. Those who toy with emotions will ultimately be toyed with by them. No one escapes. Ciuc slowly raised his hand, reaching toward me. Empress. If you still hold a grudge against me, I can let you throw a little tantrum. What an arrogant man. Even now, he still believed I could love him. I drew my blade, closing the distance in an instant. I slashed his throat, and blood gushed forth. This move I trained with the shadow guards for hundreds of days, never daring to slack. All for the chance to kill him with my own hands. Ciuc, did you think possessing the tiger token would make them loyal to you? Those words. He could no longer speak them. Meaning, his soldiers had long been replaced by my shadow guards. From the moment I returned, their soldiers became my men. Shin-Yi. The reward he accepted, he was mine from the start. Remember that shadow guard who taught me archery in my past life? After Rebirth, my first act was to seek him out. My second was to find my imperial brother. He was skeptical about their alleged rebellion, but the emperor was inherently suspicious. He accepted my proposal almost immediately, convinced that since women couldn't rule, everything I did was for him. Everything that followed was merely a performance. But these words, I'll never share with Ciuc. Let him die in his bitter confusion. Let him die. He bled out quickly. In his final moments, his hand kept reaching out, trying to touch my robe. How pitiful. Just like my previous life. Pitiful. I turned away coldly, until I heard a heavy thud, his unwilling arm hitting the ground. I walked over to Shin-Yi. He was far easier to kill than Ciuc. Reborn was the daughter of the Desert King. After falling in love with Shin-Yi, she willingly followed him to the capital, believing they would be together for a lifetime. Little did she know she'd spend her entire life as nothing more than a disgraced, favored concubine. She had always been skilled at killing. Shin-Yi now clung to life by a thread. Lying on the ground, he still wore that carefree smile as he murmured, "Princess. Have you ever?" "Never. Not once." How laughable. A selfish man like him, incapable of genuine devotion to anyone. How dare he demand others give him their hearts? Shin-Yi approached me from the start to use me. I merely returned the favor. Why is he so broken now? I looked at him as if he were an insect. General Shin, I told you long ago, never underestimate a woman skilled in the arts. I took the bow and arrow Fu Rong handed me, drew the string, and aimed at his figure. Who knows? Maybe one day, he'll meet his end at their hands. Drawing the bow, delivering Shin-Yi's final blow. The last one. I turned my head, looking at my imperial brother. He smiled at me, reaching out his hand and saying, "Lianer, it's all over now. Come back quickly. Come to my side." Yes. It's all over now. If in my previous life, he hadn't pulled me out to take the blade for him, everything truly should have ended. He pulled me out, just as Shin-Yi pulled Reborn out today. Only, Shin-Yi's blade was faster than his. Right before my eyes, his head rolled to the ground. The memory chills me to the bone. I looked at him and smiled. Would my imperial brother truly spare me? His expression hardened. "Lianer, what do you mean by that?" I had already said it. Emperors are inherently suspicious. Would he truly spare someone reborn? Allow them to survive? I pointed at the troops lurking atop the palace. Are they truly my men? Lianer. Just by his expression, I knew the answer was no. My imperial brother wouldn't be manipulated by anyone. He guarded against everyone, including me. Likely, my men had long been replaced by his own. I was merely a pawn in his game, a piece he had calculated into his scheme. My brother smiled gently and said to me, "Lianer, your service in protecting His Majesty will be recorded in the annals of history." The implication was clear: I would die for protecting him. Good. Very good. In this new life, I shall trust no one. I whistled. Qingfeng drew his bow and shot an arrow straight through his heart. It was a poison-tipped arrow, prepared especially for my dear imperial brother. And I picked up the imperial seal, asking, "Who dares move?" No one dared. All knelt before me, gazing into my brother's eyes filled with resentment. I spoke slowly: "Your Majesty, your service in protecting me shall be remembered by history." 3 days later, I ascended the throne, the first female emperor in history. Some resisted, but the secret guards swiftly silenced them. After all, in the face of life and death, everything else pales into insignificance. The first act of my reign was to send Rian away. Yes, she did not die. I had long prepared for her an ironclad shirt capable of deflecting all blades. The blood she coughed up? Merely a mouthful she had taken beforehand. A performance staged for my brother. After Rian's departure, the Desert Kingdom immediately established diplomatic relations with us, pledging eternal peace and friendship between our nations. The very first act of my ascension. It was enough to silence all dissent. But they found that insufficient, and soon began harping on the tedious matter of bearing heirs. It took me 2 lifetimes to grasp a single truth: that men are unreliable. I would rather be a king who grows old alone than be a parasitic bindweed clinging to a man. Let me live out this conviction until my dying breath. The end.